We're mic'd up with Montgomery.
Welcome to Real Talk, where real estate meets real conversations.
I'm Sean Harvey.
I'm Brittany Newhart.
Hi, Brittany. How are you
Hi.
today?
This is the afternoon, so it's like all different. I feel like normally we record this in the morning, and it's just like, oh, we just got here, and we woke up, and the sun's shining, and it's like this day has been crazy,
Yeah.
and here we are.
You've
So
been writing offers and running all over
yeah, I got
the
an accepted
state.
offer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thanks. I know. Well, we don't celebrate right away.
Well,
So, yeah, well,
still good.
it is.
Buyers are
It's
excited, and I'm
happy.
sure the sellers are too.
You know, we talk about how first time home buyer ages and stuff. These people have never bought a home and they're older. So it's kind of neat to see that process
Yeah.
when they come in and kind of educate them.
Yep. I had some retired first-time home buyers
Yeah.
once. So it's just, yeah. I mean, everybody still has the same questions. It's just
Yeah,
different stage of life and
definitely.
different lifestyles. And I think these people were military people, so they just moved around a lot and didn't have the
I
opportunity
think
before.
a lot more of those older ages is like military or farm downsizing.
Yep.
That's what I feel like I see a lot
Yeah.
more of. So
Yeah, for sure.
cool. But speaking of accepted offers, I've had declines.
We've all
Not
had a lot of
declines, but
declines.
sorry, we went with somebody else's offer.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that today. Why would say I put in an offer in, my offer is higher than your offer, but why would maybe yours get picked first?
Well, there's a few different reasons. So sometimes it boils down to cash or financing.
Okay, so cash or financing, why is that different?
Well, cash means that buyer has the money in their bank account to buy that house right now. Financing, and depending on what type of financing, some houses may not even qualify for the type of loan that the person is trying to get.
Yeah.
So, say my house is a bit of a project. I'm selling my project house. It's got siding that's kind of falling apart. It's got flaking paint. It's got some issues here and there. And my buyer has an FHA loan or a VA loan or South Dakota housing loan or rural development loan. They
Any
all
sort of
have
government
to,
funded loan.
yes, they all have to
Yep.
meet a certain criteria,
Yeah.
which is if the siding is rotten, guess what's got to be fixed before that buyer can close on the house. So me as a seller, I'm going to be looking at, okay, well, this is a conventional or a cash offer on my project house.
Yeah.
Now, maybe my house is in perfect condition. I have nothing to worry about. I can
really
roll
care.
with the higher offer, regardless of what financing it is.
Definitely.
But there are some houses that are just absolutely not going to pass some of those qualification levels that are needed. And sometimes those deals just don't work out. You know, if you're looking for a project house as a buyer, but you have an FHA loan, well,
Yeah.
we're going to have to work that a little bit different, you know, because if you have issues with a house, the lenders or the appraiser is not going to sign off on the appraisal. And then it's hard for us to get the closing done unless those items are fixed prior to closing, which takes it from a project house to a not a project house.
And what sucks is you can have the best intentions. Like, yes, I know this house has some flaking paint, but I'm going to paint it this summer and my cousin's going to come back. We're going to reside the whole house. I'm going to reshingle it. I'm going to do all of these things to it. It doesn't matter.
No, it does
Nope.
not. No.
Because unless you are willing to put a whole bunch of money into escrow,
Right.
and even that sucks because I talked to a lender just yesterday about this. We're like, okay, they want to reside this garage. So do we have to fix all this flaking paint? We can put some money into escrow. And he's like, we would have to put 1.5 times get 3 construction bids on it, 1.5 times the median price of the shingling or siding if that's what they're gonna do.
Right.
And it's like, are you kidding me? So then
That's a lot of money.
there's a lot of money just sitting there. And then they hold it in title company and then you get around to it and can do it.
But most of the time,
Yeah.
unless it's winter, they don't even like to do escrow
Yeah.
accounts. If it's the dead of winter
Yeah.
and the painting can't be done, then they'll do escrow.
Yeah.
But if the weather's decent, like it has been most of this spring,
Well, that's the appraiser's like, well, you have to have a reason why because the weather's nice.
right?
To not paint it. But we ended up just, okay, we're just gonna suck it up, go scrape it off, paint it, even though they're gonna reside it and there
Right.
it is.
Yeah. So sometimes you're doing twice the work just to get the house even to the closing table.
Yeah.
To put the new siding on after the new buyer has it.
Yeah.
So that's a big that's one of the big reasons why a seller might choose a different offer.
I would say one thing that we never expected to ever care about growing up was handrails and paint.
Yeah,
Yeah, I never thought I'd care that much about it, but here we
yeah.
are.
Here we are looking at
Yeah,
handrails and
I
paint
feel
all
like
the
we
time.
should just have, like, the basement just be full of stock handrails for whenever you need
Well,
one.
actually, you
Yeah,
should. Yeah,
it seriously should. Like, every time we rip out a house, I'm like, "We need to just take the handrail," because sometimes it doesn't even matter. Like, who cares what the handrail looks like? As long as
you
it's
just
there and it's sturdy.
I've had people put 2x4
Yep,
handrails up, and that's all you need to get it
exactly.
to
They're
closing.
like, "It could be ugly, just slap it on," and I'm
Because
like,
most of the time, if the handrail's not there, the buyer says, "Well, there's probably a reason it's not
"Yeah,
there. Like, am I moving stuff around a corner into the basement?
yes."
Guess what I got to do? Rip that handrail right back off."
Exactly, and that's where they're like, "Well, you don't have to try really hard because we're gonna weld something together." It's
Yeah,
like, "Well, why are we wasting our time?"
right.
But they don't care. Appraisers do not care.
No, it's still
They
a,
have
a
their which
regulation.
they care. They wish they didn't have to do it, but they have to follow their checklists.
Correct. Yes.
But the hard part is they come right before the end of your loan. So sometimes our appraiser for this last one didn't come for like until a week before closing.
Yeah.
And then they have this whole list of repairs.
And then it gets pushed
Yeah.
back.
So now I'm sitting here with paint on my
So
pants.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
but closing dates
Yeah.
are, I mean, they're a goal.
Yes.
They're what we strive for, but then
Yeah.
life happens, and then
Yeah.
things
Well,
get
end of
pushed
the
back.
month, people are getting out of their apartments to get in there. They don't want to pay for a whole nother month
Right.
just because two little days that it gets pushed back.
Right.
So that's a lot of the issues is trying to trying to make sure that you're not going to have all of these issues right before closing.
Yeah.
So purchase agreement, if your house has chipped paint, doesn't have handrails, insulation issues, what else?
Smoke
Smoke
alarms.
alarms, any sort of those things it's good to have. It's good to have all of those deals, but you might just pick that conventional loan
Right.
cash
Well, if you've
offer.
got two different options sitting in front of you, that one might be an easier option.
Yeah.
Not always the way to go. I mean,
Yeah.
if your house
No.
is in pretty good shape and the other offers more money,
Yeah.
go for
But
it.
you think about it, okay, this offers $1,000 more, but this one's no FHA. You might end up spending $1,500 to $2,000 on
Right.
fixes. So right there's your difference when
Right.
you didn't even have to work on anything. You
Yes,
just got to
exactly.
move. So
The other thing is that if your offer was $5,000 more than mine, but your buyer asked for a seller credit,
yes.
maybe they asked for a $5,000 seller credit. Well, guess what? Then we're looking at apples to apples.
Yeah. I
And how
feel
do you
like
go off of that?
somebody gets that offer, the first thing they're like, "What's the price?" And I'm like, no, because that price might mean nothing
Right.
if they ask for
We got to get through
$30,000 in
next
credit.
3
Nobody's
pages
doing
here and
it.
see what it looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where there's never a time where I look at a purchase agreement before I call somebody before I look at the purchase agreement
Yes.
because I don't want to be like, "Oh, here you got an offer for full asking," and then you scroll down and there's all these things, or
Yeah.
they ask for every piece of furniture in the house, and then they want everything repaired all of a sudden in this purchase agreement. You're like, "Well,
Right.
it's not always
Yeah.
great." So
Yeah, the other thing is that if I'm Mr. Seller sitting over here and I get your higher offer with a full home inspection versus the lower offer with maybe no home inspection, as a seller, I mean, what more could you ask for? Nobody's going to come inspect my house. I don't have to worry about any of that.
yeah,
As we don't recommend that. I mean, we recommend home inspections to our buyers because that's the only way they know what they're getting.
yeah.
But as a seller
I
sitting
never want to say don't get a home
no,
inspection.
as a
It's-
seller though,
yeah.
if you're sitting across the table and one's got a home inspection and one doesn't, well, that could be a leg up.
Yes, it's not. I would say though to anybody out there, first time home buyer, whether you're with us, whether you're with somebody else, I would say don't take off that inspection
Right.
just to win the bid
No,
because
because odds are it might be easier for the seller, but maybe there's a reason for that.
yeah,
if
maybe there's a reason they're like,
if
oh, we
the-
don't want an inspection because we got a lot of
Yeah,
issues.
if the seller's nervous for an inspection, maybe that's your cue.
Yeah,
Maybe you don't
that's-
want to do that.
We're always like we encourage it because
Yes.
especially on our flip houses because we're like we want to see how good we got.
Yeah.
What's our grade on this?
Right.
Like please send us the inspection so we know what we did.
Right.
How it went.
yes.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's if they're asking for no one will ever counter back to say like, oh, I want you to take off your inspection
Right.
either. Like if somebody ever does, run.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not good.
But I've also had, just it boiled down to the simple fact that I had a couple that wrote an offer on a house. It was full price offer. It was right away, right out of the gate. They accepted that offer. There was some sort of an out clause, I think because they had a home to sell. And that seller got other offers in the next week. And some of them were really good offers, some of them were really high offers, higher than what that first offer was. But that seller said, well, they were the first ones here, they gave us a good vibe,
Yeah.
we're just going to roll with it. And they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And I mean, it can be as simple as that. It doesn't
Exactly.
have to boil down to price or inspections or
Well,
financing.
that's also the other thing too. When people are looking at different prices of housing, you also have to consider everything else that's going to come with that price. So sometimes selling a home over, what is it, over 250, you might have to pay some capital gains if you're single or something.
Mhm.
There's other things that could make a factor of it,
Right.
to where, hey, it might be okay to go lower. Sometimes going lower in the long run can save you money.
Yeah.
Like your commission and stuff payout is going to be higher if you turn around and you're selling your house for
Right.
more.
Yeah.
So
And
there's a lot of
and then
factors.
I've also had it where I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, there's estimation sheets that we have. So sometimes, okay, if somebody comes to you with an offer, you have all these offers, say you have 3 offers. We present them to the people. We come and sit down and we break down every single offer with them.
Right.
And we can run it through kind of an estimation sheet. Okay, with this offer, here you go. This
Yeah.
could be your take home. Here's your mortgage payoff. Here's this. It's a guesstimate because we're not ever going to be perfectly correct on all your mortgage payoff, all your closing costs, all of it. But we can get pretty darn close. And that helps.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing.
And I lost my train of thought for a second. I was
You're
listening
like,
to Britt.
rewind.
I was
know.
like, rewind.
Yeah.
But I remembered what I was trying to say. I had somebody who hadn't seen somebody in, I don't know, 30 years. And they were wanting to move to town because they were aging and moving up. And that person said, you know what? I think I want them to have my house. And I don't think it would have mattered what other offer came
Right.
in. They felt like that person would take care of their house that they had lived in for 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's who they wanted in there. And that's,
Yeah.
there's a
Or
lot of
it's
emotion to
like,
it.
oh, this is my friend's kid or something. You know,
Right.
this is my grandkid grew up. You know, there's always all these connections that people
Yeah.
might have, and it might not matter the other prices.
Right.
So sometimes if you look and you're like, why didn't this agent get me this house? They said my offer was good. There could be 50 other reasons. And it's
Oh,
not.
yeah.
And they say, well, what was the other price? We don't know. We
Yes.
don't know, everybody.
Right. We
That's
don't.
the hardest
We
thing.
don't. That
Yeah,
is.
99% of the time we don't know. Sometimes you might know because you are the owner. You see every transaction that goes through, but it's also something you can't disclose.
Right.
It's when it is publicized, it'll be publicized for everybody. Everybody's going to find out.
Yeah.
But right that moment, we don't know. But also, we don't know what that person's thinking.
Right.
Sure, it could be the exact same price. And they're like, well, they just liked that person more. No, there's 5 other things
Right.
to look at.
Yeah.
So,
So, and sometimes, like I know in the past, I have written 2 to 3 offers on the same property.
Yeah.
That are going to be all reviewed at one time. And sometimes I'm even the listing agent writing 2 offers on the property. And that doesn't deter us from keeping everything confidential.
Yes.
We sit down, we say, okay, here's offer A, here's offer B. And these are the details of them, and this is where you cash out. And these are, we go through what the pros and cons of each offer are, and it's the seller's decision.
Yeah.
What would you like to do? Or maybe you don't want to take either one of these.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to hold off for something else.
And that's why we do sign dual agency. So when you're in office, so that doesn't just mean like you listed the house, you're writing the buyer's offer. It's also you and I working together.
Right.
Because we are in the same office. I'm not going to tell you, hey, these guys got approved for way more. You should counter back so we all make more money. No, we're not going to do that. It's going to be like, well, bring your best.
In fact, most of the time when we get offers, they have pre-approvals. But if they ever have a number on them that says that this buyer is approved up to this, we take a marker, we black it out, we scan it in.
I have not seen one forever.
I have.
Oh, yeah? See, well, locally, I should say that. locally between the Dakota Land, Farmers Mutual, ABT, I have not seen
No, locally, there's
one there.
not.
But those big companies online,
They will put it on
Yes.
there, and that is not good for negotiating power.
right? Because they're like, hey, why would we drop 10,000 when they can go
They
up
can go up. Yeah, they're
30,000?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid. Okay,
So those
another.
are all things that you have to, as buyers
Yeah.
agents, we have to watch. If you're looking out for your buyer, you have to look out
Yeah.
for that. So.
And every single agent has been declined an offer. There's not one agent who can always get it done.
Right.
There's always going to be a decline somewhere. It doesn't mean an agent's bad. It's how you take it afterwards, how you explain it during, and how you push for the absolute best without telling your client to go out of their comfort zone.
Well, especially right now. I mean, as the temperatures warm up and we have like 23 to 25 available houses
Yeah.
in Huron,
If that.
and if you
Give it a
put,
minute,
if you
there's
like,
three
if you
less.
love the house, there's a pretty good odds that somebody else loves the house too.
Yes.
So you just have to figure out what your comfort level is. Say, okay, I'm good paying this price, but if I don't get it, I'm also not going to be upset at this
Right.
price.
I
And
always tell
that's something
people.
that nobody else can tell you what that number is.
Yep.
You as a buyer have to decide that for yourself. We can give you facts,
Yes.
but you have to decide what that property is worth to you.
And cool, you can offer $50,000 more. That doesn't mean it's going to appraise for that.
Right.
So now you have to go back and consider your loan. Are you going to be able to get a loan for it? Do you have the money for the difference?
Correct.
So there's a whole lot of factors. You can't just throw out whatever number you want just because you can and have it appraised for that.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. The other thing is, gosh, now you made me lose my mind.
Hey,
It's the afternoon.
it's
We're
the
all
afternoon.
We're all tired. We're all worked hard. It's Friday. I shouldn't say that. So the one thing you said though, somebody else loves the house. I was talking to a potential listing and stuff here, having a consult with them, and they knew somebody who wanted the house. This person's been calling them. They're selling a family member's house that they passed away. So it's already emotional time. And I was like, some people are going to play on that. Some people are going to be like, I want to raise my family here. I see my kids running here. I have 4 kids and this is Jimmy's room and that's Becky's room. They're going to do this.
Right.
Every person. But so is 8 other people.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know those other people yet doesn't mean that they don't have the same exact story.
Right.
So that's where I say it's sometimes in those times it's a business transaction, especially like that. We were working on transaction stuff with her, but it's hard because those emotions. And that's where a realtor is nice because not that we don't care that this is a family member's house, like especially when we're working
we
for those
are
buyers.
here to be the mediator.
Yes, when we're for the sellers, I'm like, I know, but you got to put your blinders up for a second. Like, look at the facts. Don't look at that. There used to be a deal called love letters where people would write a whole letter about why they wanted the house and who they are. And I love explaining who we are when we do like business proposal stuff because people want to know the actual face behind a company, but you can't do that anymore.
Right. They say the best thing you should do with the letters is just take them, throw them out, and look at the facts because
well, it could violate a lot of laws.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
It does, and it doesn't. It doesn't. At the end of the day, a lot of things personally can change for any family.
Yeah.
So you have to do what's best for yourself and your family and look at the facts.
Yeah.
Even if your best friend wants the house, maybe it's not going to be beneficial for you as the seller.
Yeah.
Because, you're going to try and help them out, but if you do that, you're not going to be able to retire or whatever it looks like.
Yes.
You just can't do that. You have to take some of the emotion out of it sometimes, not always.
Yeah. But there is, and that's where I told her, like, I get it. If you're selling to this person that this family member, close person, sometimes it is best to use. That's when you should use a realtor because those situations can get iffy. Whereas we can talk people down emotion wise. We can say things in a different tone to the buyer, get everybody to agree in a calmer sense instead of you have an inspection, all this stuff's wrong, this person's mad at you about the house, and it could just
ruins
get so
friendships,
yes.
It ruins family relationships, it
yes.
ruins a lot if you do that.
Yeah, and it can get awkward, and it's like having that realtor in the middle. I always tell people, go ahead and blame me. Blame me for whatever you want. Blame me. We'll take the blame. There you go.
Yeah.
We can be the bad
But at the
people.
end of the day, at the end of the day, we're doing what we're told by buyers and we're doing what we're told by sellers.
Yes.
We can't deviate from that.
Yep.
But if somebody needs a shoulder to cry on or a punching bag
Yep.
to let their
My
anger
whole
out
thing is
on,
like, when it's two friends, you can blame me. When it's some like random person, you blame them.
yeah.
When it's two friends and you want to come out the other end, you can be like, I'm sorry, this is what they recommended I should ask for, even though that's what they really wanted.
Right.
That's how we can do it.
Right.
So
But
it's
as real estate agents, we keep everything in writing too.
yes.
You know, if your best friend says, "Yep, buy my house for this amount of money," and you get to closing with no papers written up, and they say, "Well, somebody told us it should actually be worth this amount of money, so we're going to raise our price $20,000." It's just a disaster.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
No. You always use a realtor.
Yes.
Yeah. Always use us.
Yeah.
No. So that's the other thing. I did talk to a lender the other day. They said that it is a pain in the ass when people don't use a
Right.
realtor for them, because they're also then trying to
Mhm.
explain the real estate process, and it's taking time away from getting your loan approved because they're over here just trying to
Yeah.
explain to you
Well,
the
because
basic
they're getting
transactions
they're
or why
getting
your
a
paperwork's
purchase
wrong.
agreement on a notepad
Yeah.
and trying to
Yeah.
decipher it, and it
Yeah.
just doesn't
Well,
work.
there's so many aspects of a purchase agreement. It's not just like, hey, Bob said that he'd sell it for this. Okay, cool. Did you know that Bob's house is actually under an estate trust and he needs like his ex-wife to sign off on it? There's so
But
many
who's
more
paying for the
things.
title insurance to even get there?
Exactly. I'm like,
And who's
there's
paying
so
taxes?
yeah, there's so many aspects. And even as I'm like reading it to people, I'm like, I know they're not listening. I know they're not listening. Because it still will go over their head. You can explain it. But they have it right there on their paper. Whereas somebody else coming with some printed off, Google searched purchase agreement, I'm like, oh God.
But yeah,
This is
did
not good.
that person fill out a property disclosure? Do you know that their basement floods every
I
3
know.
weeks? And
Yeah, exactly.
it's not disclosed. I mean, there's so many variables.
It's
And using a
sketchy.
realtor really just basically, it protects yourself, it protects the other person, it avoids a lot of lawsuits,
There's
it
a
avoids
lot
a
more
lot of
happy
heartache.
people in the end.
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah, I just think that it, like you said, it's funny when coming with a notepad purchase agreement. There's so much
Yeah.
more to it.
Yes,
There's-
there is. Yeah.
Yeah, and which is good because we pull county information, we pull county sheets, we pull everything because there's times where there's restrictive covenants, there's an easement, and a lot of that can be factors. I've had people call me and say, you can't sell that because we got an easement here, and it's like, well, we've got the paperwork.
I'm actually
Yeah.
putting a deal together for somebody right now, and they brought me a purchase agreement that was already filled out, and I ran it through the shredder, and I started my own
Yes.
because I mean,
It's
you
it
have to
doesn't have
have
anything,
you
yeah.
have to have the important things on there.
Yes. It's like, cool, this has nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll copy your name.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah,
The rest of it just went through the shredder.
yeah, it's like how many people too? Like, do you right now know the legal description of your personal house?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. That's on a purchase agreement.
Yes.
People
Yeah.
don't know that.
And most people don't know where to find it. so-
Exactly. Escrow money. How are you gonna get the escrow? Like there's so many things that are out there, which maybe you don't want to care about escrow if it's a personal buyer, but
Right.
whatever. There's still so many things on every purchase agreement. You're not getting declined because it's your name. You're not getting declined because
Right.
it's not. There's so many factors.
And
There's
it's not
so many.
always the money either.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's money, it's financing, it's inspections, it's closing dates. I've had so many deals where, well, I'm not in a rush to move because my new house won't be done until X day. So
Yeah.
this one with a longer closing date is actually very
Exactly.
appealing to me.
That's
Whereas this buyer needs to move right away.
yeah, and that's where sometimes having agents that are comfortable with conversing with other agents. Like I was writing a deal with Mary and I was like, hey, do your buyers need to have a specific move date? Because
Right.
my buyers were flexible, her sellers, I mean. I was like, is there something like that? Is something like that going to be more preferable to them? Because maybe they can't move
Right.
until August. They're going to be homeless if they move in June or something. So it's like, what can we do to work it out? Because my side's a little bit flexible and they'd like to make sure that they're not kicking somebody on the
Right.
street. Because people care about that. They're like, oh, I'm like, I feel bad only giving them 12 hours to respond. I'm like, no, that's okay. We can, if they want more, they can ask.
Right.
Like, we're all comfortable talking to each other. That's kind of that nice aspect of having a good group here.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's easy enough. always use Montgomery and nobody else.
That's right. No.
Yeah. No, we're
Use whoever you're comfortable with. We
yes.
just want to know that we
We just want you to use a real
know
estate agent.
that we are here to help you, though. So
Yeah. I think, like you said, a lot of real estate agents could get a bad rep. I think there's so many things in the world where people, every job, there's somebody who makes a bad rep for people. But there's a lot of reasons why we're here to help.
absolutely.
And there's a lot of reasons why how much we educate people is outstanding.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yes, I love it when
And even if you don't understand something and you're afraid to ask, you can always text us at 10 o'clock
yeah.
at night and we'll respond.
yes.
Or
Yes.
if you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to us. I mean, we're not unapproachable.
Yeah.
And
there-
maybe
There literally is no dumb question. People ask me a question, I'm like, they're like, this is gonna be dumb. I'm like, actually, it's not. Like that's what you
No.
should be asking,
yes.
or that's what I get every single time.
Yeah.
Like there's no dumb question because it's a new process if you do this once every 13 years on average.
Right. And if there is something
Yeah.
you don't understand and maybe you don't care to understand it, just know that at the end of the day, we're still going to get it done and we're going to do it right.
Yes. There's a lot behind the scenes. Today I was like calling a seller and I was like, oh, hey, I haven't kept you up to date on this. Sorry, because things have changed so much. I was dealing with
I'm
their lender.
figuring it out.
Yeah, I was like dealing with lender stuff on one side. I was making sure that their purchase, like you're making sure every other step along the way is perfectly fine. You call them and you're like, everything's great. Nothing's changed. Everything's perfectly fine. There's a million things that happened. Doesn't affect you at all.
Right.
We got it all taken care of.
It's all
Doesn't affect you. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's that putting out the fires before you even know about it. It's
Right.
literally that. And like, it's not that I forgot to call you. It's not that I didn't think it was important, but it was something that I don't need to stress you out before I can call 6 other people and figure it out.
Yeah.
And then call you and tell you that everything's good. There's just a
Yes.
little hiccup, but it's figured out.
If at all possible, we like to tell you about the catastrophe after we've fixed the
Yeah.
catastrophe, or not at all.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Pat us on the back. We did it good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
We're like, actually, a million things changed, but I figured it out.
Except for our hair color. but
Yes. I was like, we aged a lot, but here we are. We're all
yeah.
good. Yeah. It's always fun. So there's always something.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
listening. Like, comment, subscribe. We'd
Yes.
love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Sean's gonna start a TikTok, so
Oh yeah, I'm gonna start doing dances on TikTok.
yes.
Yeah, that'll be
Trendy.
very approachable.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I saw you dancing on TikTok. Will you show me this house?
Yeah.
If somebody leads with that, it's gonna be great.
But until then, we'll stick to this.
Yes.
And remember, who you work with matters.